Hello and welcome to Spicy Toast Gaming and our weekly adventure video. So we're going to be going over the modifiers for the different weekly adventures and suggesting what we think are going to be some good champions to complete those. Alright, so we have a 1.5, a 2, and a 4 star. So the 1.5, all cards cost 2 less. So this is a pretty nice one that you'll be able to use with any deck you want. I would say some things to maybe consider. What champions does this now let you play turn 1? So what 3 and 4 cost champions would be very powerful drops put down on the first turn. And then what champions are cheap with cheap units that you could then flood the board with and just win in like the first 1 or 2 rounds. So thinking about that, I would say Jax would be very good. He can often win games very quickly, just on his own, but being able to play him and then play some of his 1 or 2 drops, they can be very powerful. I think being able to play Jax and as many of his 1 or 2 drops, you'll either end the game that round or the next one just when you get that attack. Normally with Jax, I either run with Gale Force for 2 attacks. In this situation, since you're able to flood the board with units, you might want to switch that Gale Force out for a Crown Guard Inheritance. So all of your units can get a second attack. Something to consider. Also, Diana wouldn't be too bad either. Being able to play her, play as many of her big units as possible. Also, one thing, like I mentioned earlier, what unit could you play that you normally couldn't play on turn 1? I think Tahm Kench is a very powerful drop. Be able to play him for 2 mana, so in your first round, and then also with that, all of his acquired tastes, his capture spell that he generates, those cost 2 mana, but now they'll be just 0. So that'd be very powerful to play him on the first turn. Some of these spell decks, like Lee Sin and Master Yi, that have all of these spells that normally cost 1 or 2 mana, that they just need to be able to play every round, that'll make it a lot more easy on them. Some cards like Ornn, so he has his spell that he's going to be generating every round. Now that's going to be free, and then making all cards cost 2 less is going to help you ramp up and play Ornn much faster. Every deck will be able to benefit from this, but try to figure out who could make use of this the best. So either helping you ramp up, either helping you win the game incredibly fast by swarming the board with powerful units like Jax, or just what champions you could play that are very strong that normally you couldn't. Alawi is another one that normally you couldn't play until later, but you'll be able to play her on turn 1. So just try to think about that and decide which of your favorite champions can make use of this the best, and then go and play them. Alright, on to the 2-star. We have each round the player's first Demacia card cost 1 less to play. And then game start, the player starts with 2 extra mana gems, but doesn't get more at round start. So if you are playing a 2-star deck, then you have you'll be having 4 mana gems total, but you won't get any more other than that. So in my opinion, the deck you need to use, or the one that's going to benefit from this the most, is Vayne. So Vayne's entire deck is pretty cheap. The only card you have that costs more, that doesn't get reduced like Condemn, is the Kind-Hearted Recruit, but if you're high enough, this will get reduced down as well. So your entire deck is pretty cheap. Vayne is also just 3 cost, so all of your cards you'll be able to play. If you don't have the stopwatch, you can just cut the kind-hearted recruit, and you'll generally be pretty good. So Vayne will be able to make use of this, be able to play very fast, and have this actually be a positive for her, because she's not going to need really more than that 4 mana gems. But for like Garen, he costs 5 mana, so you won't ever be able to play him. Now his deck is very strong, so the deck would still be able to win without him, but he is a very strong unit. Lux would be pretty difficult. Everything you have is based around playing those 6-cost spells. Now, you'll be able to hit 7 mana for spells because you'll have your 4 mana gems and then your 4 gems and then 3 spell mana. So you'll still be able to play those, but you'll never be able to play Lux. So I think Lux and Garen would be much more difficult. Vayne should be able to benefit from this the most. So I would suggest Vayne for this one, especially since it has to be Demacia. Or it doesn't have to, but if you're not playing in Demacia 1, you're not going to get any benefit from this. Although I guess, so if you are playing Garen or Lux, you'll be able to play them if they are the first card you play each round. Since their card are going to get reduced to 1 less, you'll be able to play a 5-cost spell, since you'll have 4 mana, but then it will cost 1 less. So you will actually be able to play Garen or Lux, the champions, but it just has to be your first card each round. Still, though, Vayne is going to make use of this far better than either of them, in my opinion. Alright, the last one. So, the Galio power. Round start, grant the foe's units +1 health. Adorabus, round start, transform the player's strongest follower into a 1/1 squirrel and silence it this round. Or Vicious Enemy, and Vicious Enemy, Nexus health, starting mana, and hand size. So I would go with one of the champions that works as a 1-man army. So generally it's the cheap ones. So we have Diana, works very strong on her own, can definitely win without a problem. Jax, same deal. Gwen, a little bit more expensive, but once you have her out, she's going to be fine. Vayne also, 3 cost, so you can't play the first round, but you'll be able to get there very fast. And then Teemo, if you have him high enough, he's not going to need other units. You can just use him to absolutely demolish the enemy nexus. But if you don't have him high enough, then you probably don't want to use him. So yeah, probably go with either a champion that is cheap, that can just dominate the board on their own, or play one like Gwen or Misfortune, where, or in some cases Vi, you're having more swarmy decks, you're spawning units each round, or you're able to play a lot of cheap units, just so that one unit getting silenced isn't the end of the world. You still have a whole bunch of other ones you can play. Gwen is actually kind of the happy middle of you're spawning units each round, you're able to play a lot of units, but you also have a very big champion that once they're on the board, they will be able to just carry the rest of the game. Alright, so that's my take on the different champions for the adventures. Now, if your weekly adventures don't look like mine, after doing this, I've been told a lot of people saying, hey, my adventures aren't the same. If that's the case, you're probably in a different region. The different regions, at least NA and Europe, have different weekly adventures. So if you're wondering why it's different, that is why. Sorry if I sound a little tired. I woke up early to get this out for you guys as soon as possible. I hope you enjoy the weekly adventures, and I hope you have a great day. Hey, you made it to the end of the video. Thank you so much for watching that video all the way to the end. If you did enjoy it, please like and subscribe. We're putting out multiple videos every single day for Path of Champions content. So if that interests you, subscribe, hit that notification bell, and welcome to the channel. Have a great day.